where pastors' kids a lot of times get it wrong is that their fathers or their mothers are different at church to what they are at home. And that's where the
double standard.
That's where the disconnect comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, but Daddy, you didn't praying so nice there at the church and this, but at home you swearing and you shout, you and mommy are fighting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means church is something you switch on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
When you come home, you can switch it back off. A lot of pastors don't have a plan B in mind for themselves, right? And so they don't know what to do next. They have no vision for their own personal lives. They built their whole reputation on the church. It's all they know. It's all they understand. They've built this thing from the ground up. And so they cannot fathom in their wildest dreams that somebody else is going to take this thing and run with it for another 20, 30, 40 years. So in their minds, it's like, this is my thing.
Yeah,
I started this thing. I raised this thing.
Yeah.
I groomed this thing to where it is today. And I have no plan for my life after this. So I'm going to die with this baton in my hand. But I'm just saying, don't disrespect me. Even if you earn more than me, I'm still the father in the house.
Yeah.
Even if you earn more than me, I'm still your husband. Yeah. Respect me when we go to a place and say, hey, this is my husband. We go to your work function where you a big deal. But when I walk in with you still, hey, this is my husband. You introduce me to your colleagues. Yeah. But when it comes to that, we need to tell the men, gents, get up and get your ducks in a row. Gents, get up and keep it moving. Holiness there's nothing to do with lights and the space that you're in or whatever. There's a completely different conversation. But I think religion is where the problem lies. Yeah. Is that people take religion as relationship. Religion is not a relationship with Jesus. Yeah. Religion is a completely different thing. In fact, religion starts wars. Religion causes damage. Absolutely. Religion makes people not want to come to church. I can go even one step further to say religion is evil.
Welcome back to another episode of Kingdom Amplified. And today's guest is Pastor Xavier Hendricks, someone who's been shaped by legacy, walking out leadership, and living faith beyond the pulpit. So whether you're a pastor's kid, in ministry, or just figuring out how to balance calling and real life, this conversation is going to hit home. So grab your communion juice and let's dive in. Hey everyone, what's good? Welcome to the Kingdom Amplified podcast. My name is Pastor J, aka Fat Kid Music, aka the Muruti. So thank you so much, man, for joining us for this episode. I'm excited to have this conversation today with whenever I think of this guy, I just think of this one word. He is dynamic, full of energy, from our generation. He's a pastor, a leader. He is a faith movement guy. This guy is lovable, he's charismatic. He's got the vibes. This guy's got the vibes. Please welcome with me, Pastor Xavier Hendricks.
Pastor J, thank you for having me, my brother.
Thank you, man, for coming through, man.
100%.
Yes.
Hey, your setup is nice.
Thank you, man.
I'm looking forward to an interesting conversation.
Yeah, man, it's going to be good. But I want to just find out from you, right? You are a biker.
I am.
Right? and I have one question. Why? Out of all the things you could ever be.
You know what happened? My father was a biker.
Really?
Right? Yeah, he was. In fact, he sold his bike recently. But he was a biker all the time. And then when I turned 16, I was still in high school.
Okay.
Then he bought me a bike, a 125. So I've been riding bikes since 16.
Wow.
And
so you class soaked in this thing. You're part of the community.
For a long, long time. But so then I stopped riding, and then recently, last year, 2 years ago, I joined a club, a Christian biker club.
It's very interesting because we must now know your father, but that just goes to show that we only see one side of him. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Carl. Meantime, the man is a biker terminator.
And he was a biker since he was 16 or so.
Wow. And his dad?
And my grandfather was also a biker.
From generation to generation.
Yeah, so this is now 3 generations that we know of. I don't know if my great grandfather you find.
Yeah, you
used
never
to
know.
Ride
what maybe
scooters.
those? Yeah. No, but I actually saw that. Okay, let's say the 1930s. they had Nga bikes, very interesting bikes. And I only know this because I watched the Avengers, Captain America. That's
so you
because
saw
that's the only way I'll
old school
see.
bikes.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying. But it's actually dope. The helmet's all different, you know. And it looks like that vintage style. It's actually a vibe now, like that vintage look.
It is that vintage look. I think looks have like seasons that
Yes.
come and go. And then
Yeah.
you find there's like a particular season where old school vibe comes back
Yeah.
in again. And so
100%.
and some of those looks and vibes don't ever die out.
Listen, let me just tell you that the 80s will never die. The 80s, it doesn't matter, from the music to the clothing, it'll never die. The 80s is the vibe.
The 80s, the 90s. I think if you are you born in 80s?
I was sorry, I'm giving my vibe.
So yeah, I think it's also you become biased to
Of course.
the time that you were born in.
Of course. Okay, but also what I've realized, if you're born in the 80s, you only start appreciating from your teens, which is the 90s maybe. Because I'm born 1980. I'm that old. So 1990, I
don't
was
look
10,
it,
11. Me bra, it's the grace of the Lord.
Man.
Because I use Dove and Lux
Come on now.
mixed. But anyway, so you only really appreciate and get to know life and start figuring out your surroundings by 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, when you
so
start
the
comprehending,
90s,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? The 90s is the vibe. So yeah, I get you, but the 80s, you know, is that vintage type of look, even like the clothing, the movies. You know what I'm saying? Because movies today, but that's another conversation. Movies today, man, that was nie daar gaan.
It's a
Listen,
whole different concept.
since you're a biker, right? I got a joke because I'm that guy.
Okay,
So let me hook you
biker
up.
joke.
What's a biker's favorite verse?
A biker's favorite verse.
Yeah.
Even if I
Yeah,
think of
nah,
a verse,
I'll never
it's
get-
probably
And-
something funny.
And you're gonna kick yourself. Though I ride through the valley of the shadow of death.
Right through the
Yeah.
valley.
Listen, you have to understand. I'm about the dad jokes.
That's a dad joke.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, lame is the new vibe. Lame is the new vibe. So once again, man, thank you so much for coming through. Once again, I'm looking forward to the conversation. I think you're a very interesting person, and you are very active in ministry. Like, you are very busy. Like, you are that guy that's constantly working. And I think everybody who is in ministry can glean from you because you got so much experience, so much insight. And I looked forward to this conversation because I'm like, I want to know more about this guy. Because, you know, it's one thing, like, once again, like your father, we see one side of him, but we don't know he's a biker.
Yeah.
So we see one side of Pastor Zakes, right? But there is a other side of him, you know, and I think it's important to get to know that also, especially as a leader, because we are people, man.
Yeah.
We are, and not that we are highlighting our mistakes, but we are people, and it's nice to get to know someone, maybe just to a certain extent, on a different level, because it funny enough, it makes people gravitate closer, you know. And you find that a lot of leaders are too afraid to show certain sides of them in fear that people will judge them. But you find that, and this is across the board in leadership, whether secular and sacred. If you open up to a certain extent, I'm not saying you must now give us your personal, I'm just saying to a certain extent, you find that people are like, yo, I never knew that, oh Pastor Zakes is also thinking the way I think. And that, you know what I'm saying. So I'm not going to ask where you live because that's personal, but we're going to just get into it, right?
Now we can go
So-
for it. And even personal, I'm not afraid to be personal. I've shared things where people say,
I think that's why people love you.
"Yo!"
I think that's why people love you, right?
I'm not scared
But
to
now,
share
on a lighter note, before we get into the vibes, what is the most ridiculous? Look, you've been in ministry forever, right? You've been a leader. I even heard once you were a drummer, but on Salvorai Prat.
Piano. I played
Piano, okay. So what is the most ridiculous excuse you've heard someone tell you? Like, whether it's a leader, whether it's a volunteer, as to reason why I can't come to church today, or the reason why I can't make this meeting, or whatever. Because, I mean, let's be honest, man. Church people are the most creative, the most interesting
to
people.
come up with interesting
You know what I'm
excuses.
saying? And then you thought the Bible was interesting until you listened to a church person.
Church excuse. Look, I haven't really had like weird excuses. Most of the excuses that I could never understand was, Pastor, I'm studying because I'm writing on Wednesday. And then I'm thinking, but now,
Yeah.
what does Sunday morning, 9 o'clock have anything
Yes.
to do with Wednesday?
Yeah.
And so, and for me, I have a degree, But I never miss church on Sunday because
Yeah.
in my mind it's like, bruh, 2 hours in the morning, it make no difference.
Yeah.
Plus you're gonna lay up until whatever time, whatever. So it just becomes priority at that point. But
Yeah.
most of the excuses, especially in youth ministry, ish, I'm studying, ish
Yeah,
this, ish that.
yeah.
Then I think to myself, oh guys, I studied also. I even studied tertiary.
Yeah.
But I was at church, I was at youth, I was serving, I was doing
Yeah.
what I had to do. But that's mainly the excuses that I used to get, especially as a youth pastor. I used to get
Someone said to me once, they can't come to a Sunday morning service because they have to do the washing, right?
Yeah, you get a washing, you get shopping.
And I think what irritates me the most is when they say my child is sick, because now you don't know, must I believe you or must I not? Because now what if a child is really sick one day, and then you've now used this excuse so many times. And then it's going to look like I am not being sensitive, to your needs and stuff. But that's church people for you. But also, I think, do you think also on that point, and we're going to get into the next question, you grew up in a church environment, like church was your life. Do you think that people do that? They're so easy to say, listen, I'm not going to church today. But for us, like also for me growing up in a church, that wasn't an option. Like for us, you must go to church with me, bruh. Of you slaap buiten. Tell us, how was your environment growing up in a church, like in a Christian household? Your dad's active in ministry, and also not just active, but very driven. It's different. You know what I'm saying? Driven and being progressive, and because that takes hard work. How was that for you?
So one thing that you mentioned there is something I've realized is that priority for you is not priority for someone else. So church was a priority in our house. And so we knew that you had to go to church. It's like you saying, you don't have a choice. You must go to church. But somebody else grew up in a home where Sunday was for shopping and for washing and for spring cleaning.
Yes.
So that person grew up in that space. So to them, it's not weird if they say, nah, I'm tired, or I shall go to church next week or the week after. So for them, that's not something out of the ordinary. But for me, growing up, church was definitely, there was no excuses about it. And my father is not, I'm not even going to say was, he is still very driven. He gets things done. He gets things done on a very high level as well. And I mean, if you look at Crystal Church today, even you can see that he executes on a high level, especially coming from, so remember, my father started the church in 1992. And this is before 1994 when Mandela comes out. 11 February 1990, Mandela comes out. 94 is election. We get rid of apartheid. So he is busy starting a church in the middle of all this chaos going on in the country.
That huge transition also.
Yeah, big transition happening. There's a lot of racism. There's a lot of brainwashing. There's a lot of negativity around, guys like that starting churches. So he was a businessman all his life.
Okay.
So he was running a very successful business, and the money wasn't an issue. But now, starting church, all of a sudden money is an issue. All of a sudden we're selling things to make sure we're running the church. All of a sudden we had to sell a couple of cars.
And this is now from people in the community.
Yeah.
That has these type of stuff. But I was going to say also, like, why is it that when a colored pastor does something beyond what's normal for colored people, suddenly you are a drug dealer?
Yeah.
Or suddenly you are...
So if I can tell you the stories that we've heard over the years, I've heard everything. Drug dealer, diamonds, stealing the offering. I've heard every excuse and every name that was ever thrown out. So it gets to a point where it gets boring. It's like, agents, come on now. And I think to answer the question as to why is that we've, as brown people, have been brainwashed to the point where we don't believe we can be successful. We ourselves don't think we can be successful. So we get to a point where we see another colored guy becoming successful. We're like, what's he doing? How's he getting it right? What did he do to get there? What is he doing? He's probably doing something illegal. Yeah. Because we don't believe in ourselves. And if it is that you become successful or you become powerful or you build something of that nature, it's so beyond our minds that we can't fathom that someone can actually achieve it. Yes. And my father did 1,000-seater in El Dorado Park Extension 9 where no other churches were doing that kind of thing.
Dude, and and just talking on that, I remember, and just a quick story. I don't know if you remember Philip Esterhazen.
Yes.
He was my bra, right?
You used to play bass guitar.
Yes, bass and keyboard. Me and him, we were coming up together in Westbury. So he introduced me to Pastor Lester, Pastor Neil, Pastor Regan. And that time, you guys were just building the building. it was still
So the tent was on the side
yes,
and we're busy building.
right.
Yeah.
So I think I was in matric that year. Denzel was still the youth leader there.
Yeah.
So one night, Friday night, the Owens
Denzel and
Commandment.
Darylene. Well,
Yes.
that was before they got married, no?
Yes, it was before, this is a long time ago. So one Friday night, ons gaan youth toe, or Pastor Lester came to fetch, because Pastor Neil still lived in Maritzburg that time. I don't know if he was married at the time, but anyway, so they fetched us, and I was supposed to play drums there. So they introduced me to Pastor Regan, whatever, because he was a drummer at the time, I think. And then a friend of mine comes that one Friday night. Friend of mine comes because they wanted to get me into Crystal. So a friend of mine came and said, "Listen, Jace, your guys' flat is on fire right now. They're at the youth." So I left everything there and I never saw Crystal again in my life.
Serious?
It was
So was the flat really burning?
yes, it was literally on fire. The flat burnt. So that's my Crystal story.
You came and
And you know what I'm saying? And
because the flat was burning.
it was so interesting because I loved all the old Pastor Lester, and that time they weren't like ordained pastors. Or Pastor Regan wasn't a man to me and stuff like that. But what was interesting for me is that, and coming back to the conversation, here's this brown guy, right, doing something that the other brown people aren't doing. So now he is exposing their lack of thinking beyond vision, me bro. So I think that's very powerful. And whenever you do something that other people aren't doing, and it's probably coming back to you also where you are now, you're going to be doing stuff that other people aren't doing in your position or in your environment, your scope, whatever. And there's going to be all of that. And I wanted to ask you, like, when you heard all of these things and you said you've heard all this stuff, what was going through your mind? Because you are still young, you're coming up, you are still growing in your faith. How do you deal with that?
So when I was younger, I got angry to hear those things because I saw the sacrifice. And if all else, I used to think, bro, we could have stayed in business, we would have had more money. Now I must struggle here and still deal with people talking nonsense. Then you start weighing it up like, bro, is this worth it? And things, my father would take things from home to go, if there's an event at church.
And that's the life of a pastor, man.
Take
life
a couch, man. You come home, you was die couch. Nee, that's an event by die kerk, die couch gebruik vir die en die. Lights, there was a time I'll never forget. Switch on the light in the lounge, how the globes is out. Nee, they needed to switch something on the church and fix it. Because remember, it wasn't the way it is now. It was like starting. So you have to kind of hustle your way through and make it make sense. But it used to irritate me and I used to get angry. But now, you get jaded for it. It's like, I don't even... You get to a point where you don't care what they say anymore. The thing that you mentioned earlier about even getting hammered for doing things differently. When I was doing youth ministry, I was doing factory. It was so different. There was no one in South Africa doing it on that level. Lights off, lasers, smoke machines, different colors and us. The backlash we got for that.
Sure.
Je mag die kerk klap, je bring die duivel in die kerk en hoe kan jy dit doen? Hoe kan die mense so dans? Hoe kan die mense dit doen? And then that was the time that ones were doing hip-hop dancing and popping and locking. How can you all do this in the church? Took a lot of backlash for it, right? A lot of backlash for it. But it grew. And a lot of the people I know up until today and a lot of the important relationships that I still have in my life today came from the people I met in that space.
Absolutely. Tell me, like, and talking on the youth ministry, do you find, well, obviously a lot of young people don't want to come to church because they feel like the church doesn't cater for them. And we think that that's a carnal idea, but it is a real thing, right? So you doing the factory like the way you did it was so groundbreaking. And I think that's why a lot of people had those type of view. But what made you do that? Like, why did you go to that extent, even knowing, because I'm sure you knew the mense gaan baie praat.
I knew.
But what was the motivation? What made you do that despite that?
So I was in a very lost place in my life in 2009. 2008, 2009. I was studying for my degree in theology, but I was lost. I was studying business management first. I didn't know what I wanted to study. Then my father came home and said, he was going to a conference in New Jersey every year. He would go there, come back. So he came back one year at the end of 2009 and he said, listen, those people have like an exchange program thing. Do you want to go and see what's going on there? I'm like, for sure. Go live in America for 6 months. Awesome. That time America was America. Like, everyone wants to go to America. Plus it's in New Jersey. It's right next to New York. Like, you went to New York. So it was like a thing. So I'm like, of course, let me go. So I went there. So for that 6 months that I was there, at the end of that 6 months, it was 2010. It was World Cup year.
Yeah,
My heart was sore because I'm checking on the videos, I'm seeing people's things. I'm like, yes, it's Muscating here in South Africa. My heart is here because the World Cup was here, the energy, the vibe, everyone was here.
Yes,
you know?
of course.
While I'm away,
everyone's here. Like every other country is empty.
Exactly.
And everyone's here.
The party is here.
Yeah.
And I'm somewhere else.
And you're in the kitchen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so close to the end of that, I went to an event called Battle Cry. Right,
Okay.
a guy named Ron Luce, and we actually became friends afterwards. So I went to his event, 17,000 people in a stadium, right, in a basketball stadium, in an arena they call it.
Yeah.
So in an arena, that was the first time I saw youth on a stadium level. I was like, yo, this is hard. That's where I saw drama productions. That's where I saw the lights going off for the lasers. I saw it there. I was like, yo. This is quiet. There's nobody doing this in South Africa.
Yeah.
And that day I was standing and worshiping in that stadium. And that's where God said, okay, when you go back, execute. And I was like, okay, sharp. When I came back, now you must know I have this thing in my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get gesehen who worship 17,000 men in a stadium. So I had this vision like, I want to do this. Yeah, man, there's no one doing it.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't bothered about what people were thinking and saying because in my mind, I'm like, we need to execute this thing. We need to execute this thing. We didn't have lights, nothing. Oh, Pastor Regan was a youth pastor, right?
Yes,
and I took over from him then. We didn't have lights, nothing. I took cellophane, you know that blue, purple, that colors.
Yes.
I wrap it around the globe.
Yeah.
Then I switch on. Then we had
it has
sound,
that reflection.
then it makes like a blue light.
Yeah.
then I put a green one on this one.
Yes,
I put a different color
yeah.
on that one. Then I went to scratch in a old space there where there was old things. Then I found 2 parkins. Old parkins with gels in front of them. Then I put cellophane around those gels and I put them there. And by the 3rd, 4th week, it went from 50 to 100, like in a short period of time.
Wow.
In a short period of time. Then within a month, 2 months, it went to 500, like quick. I'm talking about quick. It was in 500. Then we saw, it's too small here.
Yeah.
We were upstairs in the chair. We were like, it's too small here. We need to find a space. Then we had an empty warehouse, a factory.
Yes.
And then I called it the factory. Then we went to the factory down there. It seats 1,000 people.
Sure.
And then within like a year, there was 1,000 people in there every week.
Tell me, do you think that we are stuck in the way we do church and in the way we approach our faith? Like because it feels like globally people are doing so much, and especially like in the US, right? And it feels like over here where we are, we keep ourselves stuck because we feel like this is holy. And this is that. Do you think that we need to start breaking away and stop acting as if like we are tampering with our holiness because we have lights?
So for me, holiness there's nothing to do with lights and the space that you're in or whatever. There's a completely different conversation. But I think religion is where the problem lies, right? And so what does religion mean? You hear someone saying you do this thing religiously. When somebody's saying you do something religiously, it means you're doing it as a habit. It's like, okay, every day I wake up and I have tea and I have 2 sugars in my tea. I do that religiously. Every day,
it's like
they know,
Jay
Gano is to come, he's going to do this and this and this. Your children know when you come home, daddy's going to make so and so and so. Your wife knows, she's laying in bed and she hears you opening the door. She knows you're going to do that. Then you're going to pour water. Then you're going to open the fridge. She already knows because that's what you do religiously. When you begin to do things religiously, you do it because it's you either do it by itself or you do things later on because it becomes an obligation to do it.
Yes.
I must do this.
And if you don't do it, you feel condemned.
And if you don't do it like that, you feel condemned. And so remember, with the head covering thing, there were people like, oh, you must have something on your head when you pray. And then back in the day, it was like, the woman must wear a skirt. If she wears a pants, it's going against the Bible. If you do this, it's going. And so you start doing things from a place of religion and you leave the relationship by the door. And so Jesus comes and he says, guys, listen here, I didn't come to abolish the law. I came to fulfill the law. But now I don't need you to go and sacrifice a lamb and do all those things. Come straight to me. Don't go tell your high priest. Don't go nothing. Just come straight to me. You and me will sort this thing out directly. And when it comes there, he breaks the element of religion. And he says, come, let's me and you have a relationship. And so where people, to answer the question you mentioned, is that people take religion as relationship. Religion
can't be.
is not a relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
Religion is a completely different thing. In fact, religion starts wars. Religion causes damage.
Absolutely.
Religion makes people not want to come to church. That's where the problem lies. Religion, I can go even one step further to say religion is evil.
Yeah.
I could say religion is actually demonic because it's hindering your relationship with God. You're doing things because I grew up doing it like this. I must just do it like. But in your heart, there's a gap, there's a distance. And so Jesus comes and says, leave all of it. Just come. And the relationship, once you and I have a relationship, the Holy Spirit will guide you and lead you to say, don't do this. Stay away from it. Then you'll sense it in your heart.
100%. And you know, like being religious is a lot of work. It is a lot more work than just having a relationship, because a relationship flows organically. If you're in a relationship like with your wife or whoever, it just flows, man. Nobody needs to remind you to love your wife.
Exactly.
It's just this, and like the term, the inward witness. This is why the Holy Spirit is in us to remind us those type of stuff, you know. So I like that. In terms of youth ministry, what is it about hip hop? What is it about dancing that just makes young people go crazy? It does. It's like, and I always ask people this. There was the other guy also here, sorry, and I asked him, dude, what is it about hip hop that young people are just crazy? And I know that you guys also brought that sound because you obviously know that sound gets a reaction. And I think it's important to use, and you give your view, but these are just vehicles. It's got nothing to do, once again, with the relationship. It's a vehicle to get you to a certain point. What's your view on, because I want to know, what's it about the music, the sound, that really gets young people activated? And because it seems to me like the church has boxed itself into a particular sound, and we don't want that. We are okay with the world utilizing the stuff, but once we do it, then we feel some type of way. But once again, man, and you are the youth guy. I mean, you have done amazing stuff. What's your view on that, given your experience?
So music is that's a deep conversation. You can go really deep, but let's keep it on the upper levels. But music, the devil was in charge of music when he was in heaven, right? So he understands the power of music, right? And so he utilizes it to its highest capacity because he knows this thing is what captures attention. This thing can make you cry. This thing can make you laugh. This thing can make you jump. This thing can make you commit suicide. This thing can make you shoot yourself. This thing can do so many different things. And he knows how to use music to get the most out of it. And so there's no one that does it better than him, right? But here's the truth. Music does not originate from
Come on, man. Yeah.
It originates from God himself. He was in charge of it when he was there. And so he understands how to utilize it to work in his favor. But it's not from him. So if we're using sounds and stuff, it's not the devil's sounds, it's God's sounds. But he made it to a point where he put his stamp on it, to the point where if you start playing music that sounds like, dat klink soos Drake. Nee, dat klink soos wereldmusiek.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
Who said this? That's not the devil's music. It originates from God. Remember when David was playing in Saul's palace, and then he said, hey, if this guy plays, then the evil spirits leave me. Because it originates from heaven. But the devil understands how to utilize it. And if all else, we children of God, we should be the ones utilizing it to its maximum capacity, not the world.
You know what's interesting to me, and it's so true what you're saying, the devil learned music in the presence of God. But we don't want to learn music in the presence of God. We are okay with lifting up our hands and do. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's interesting to me, like how you're mentioning, I'm just realizing now, he didn't get that on his own, like you said. But he's smart. And Jesus makes a statement also in the scriptures where he says, the sons of the world are smarter than the sons of light. That is a rebuke to me as a son of light. So I'm like, Jace, you need to be smart, my lighty. So how do we allow the world to be smart, but the church is much just okay? Kom ons hou net hier by die organ. Let's not go to synths and the 808s. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like we have to really be smart in how we do it, and not because it's like, even being smart is not from the devil.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
But
and we give him too much credit.
It takes someone to push that boundary.
Come on.
And then when someone pushes the boundary, then they get told, you bring die wêreld in die keer. You don't. But it's gonna take, it's like
Courage,
like people like me and you to say,
Courage,
hey man,
bro.
we're gonna do this thing. We don't
warring
care what you
you.
think and how you gonna see it.
Tell
And
me-
then later on they realize, ish, like this thing
Die
is
mama's
working.
eintlik reg.
And then they copy you. Then
Then
they
they copy
want to
you.
teach you. Then they want to teach you. You must do it like this. You must do it like. Oh wow, where did you see that?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, man, so you are a pastor's kid, right? And I realized that there's a pastor's kid community. And because I saw this TikTok video the other day, and this girl was saying, listen, if there's any pastor's kids, hit me up in the comments. I have a WhatsApp group, and I'm like, wow, there's actually a pastor's kids community.
didn't see that.
You know what I'm saying? Now,
hearing it from
now
you.
once again, now this is interesting to me. So when you came here, and this was before, well, afterwards, and I thought to myself, this is amazing because Pastor Zakes is a pastor's kid. He's been through it all. I want you to share your pastor's kids moment, especially when you were younger. And listen, you are still a pastor's kid. It doesn't change, right? But like when you were younger, and you mentioned earlier on that you were distant to a certain point. Did you ever feel like you, as a pastor's kid, you had to have it together all the time? Like for the sake of the title of pastor's kid and all of that stuff? Because there's a stigma. The pastor se kinders is altyd die. You know what I'm saying? I want you to also share on that because I think, for me, the reason why is because there is such a high standard set by our parents who say, we have to do this. And it's easy for someone else's children, maybe I can do whatever to an extent. Just share your experience around being a pastor when you were younger and that type of stuff.
My experience is actually different because my parents raised me like proper like spare the rod, spoil the child kind of a thing, right? So I got hiding.
Yeah.
I knew not to speak back. I knew as je pa bij de huis komt, je gaat een pak slaag krijgen.
Yeah.
So I was raised in that way. So it was normal for me.
Yeah.
I was raised Wednesdays prayer meeting, Thursdays this rehearsal.
And every
Fridays
night is
youth.
something.
Every night is something. Friday is youth, Sunday is church, Sunday night you come back for evening service. It's like, so I grew up in that space. So if you grow up in a space like that, for me it was like, oh, this is how it should be. This is normal.
It's normal. It's life. It's
this is how
natural
it is.
to go.
So
Yeah.
I didn't ever have that feeling of like, I'm supposed to behave differently or I'm supposed to behave myself in a different way. But only when I got older, I heard people start asking me that, but as a pastor's child, do you think this and this and this? Come I tell you where I personally, right? And you can call me out on this if you want to, for those who are in the comment section. But where pastors' kids a lot of times get it wrong is that their fathers or their mothers are different at church to what they are at home. And that's where the
double standard.
That's where the disconnect comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, but Daddy, you didn't praying so nice there at the church and this, but at home you swearing and you shout, you and mommy are fighting.
Yeah.
And you know this and this. And when that disconnect comes, that's where the children are like, yeah, man, what's going on here now?
Yeah.
Okay, so that means church is something you switch on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And then when you come
it's actually a good point.
Yeah, and when you come home, you can switch it back of je haal je bekeerbytjie, je trek je bekeerbytjie uit, dan kan ons weer vloek en aangaan. And so I didn't grow up like that. The way my father was at church, that's how he was at home. So for me, it was the same thing. The way my mother prayed at home, my mother closed the door, she prays for 2 hours straight. Is how she prays on a Sunday on stage. So for me, it was like, okay, so then this is how it should be. It's normal.
Yeah.
So I've never really had that. To answer the question, that feeling of like, I'm supposed to be a certain way, I'm supposed to say a certain thing. I was that lady that didn't swear. I was that lady that didn't drink.
It was normal.
I was that lady that didn't smoke. I was that lady that, ooh, they naughty. I'm not supposed to be with the naughty children. I was that lady that they guara at school. I was that lady that they call pastorki.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, is what it is.
It is what it is. Because one of the things that I also want people to guard against is that once we start forming these little groups, you know, because those people don't really get you out of the thing you're struggling with. They're just pampering the thing. It's like they are having a pity party. I'm using it loosely. You know, so even having this PK groups and that.
But is a PK group in a negative way? Is it like a,
well, look,
we're gonna now share our stories of how our parents did this and this?
I think it might be that, because for me, if you want to get liberated, it's like go to that group. But if you find out that these people are really just sort of covering and sort of pampering you, there's no liberation from there. And then you keep repeating the cycle. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what the group is about, but there are many groups like that. Like for example, you find people who are hurt in church, and then they connect with others. So
big party
you know what I'm saying? So that could be a group. So you find that there's never liberation there. Which
Yeah,
is
because you're
which
just
is
buying
covering
each
what?
other's feelings now.
Now that's my point. So if you really want to change, you're gonna find a place that's really gonna, because the best way to be transformed is to be challenged out of
To
something.
be challenged, and that's the thing.
You know what
Iron
I'm saying?
sharpens iron.
Yes.
But people don't like to be challenged. People like to take offense. Who you offended me? I'd rather leave the whole church. Instead of saying, hey, my brother, you're getting this wrong. Come, let's work this thing through. Yeah, you're not going to tell me. I'd rather leave.
Yeah. Have you, now talking of church hurt, have you ever had to deal with something like that? And then you look back and you say, but this was actually just a thing that we could just fix it quickly. It's not really I want to say a global thing in terms of the entire thing, leaving the whole church. It's a type of thing where you and I just couldn't see eye to eye to a certain extent. Can we just fix it quickly? Maar dan gaan ons maar nou aan. Like, have you ever had to deal with church hurt on any level?
Me personally or the person?
Well, you or the person, or within your role as a leader or a department head in any way.
You know what, nah? I'm going to tell you a secret. I want to do a book nah, on pastor.
That's interesting.
Because you know the pastors, nah, they eat a lot of crap, bro.
Yeah.
And they can't say
They take
anything.
globes from the lounge and put it.
They eat a lot of nonsense from
Yeah.
people, and they can't say anything. They have to go on that stage, act like nothing's wrong, and preach like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, sometimes you're standing on stage preaching, né? And the person that offended you, or the person that's talking nonsense behind your back, they're sitting here, and they're sitting with this intimidating look on their face, and and somebody told you, Pastor Zix, you know what this one said about you. And they're sitting here, and you preaching, and you know this person doesn't like you, and you know this person's thinking whatever they think, and somebody told you what they're thinking and what they said behind your back. But you have to maintain your composure.
You have to guard your heart.
You have to guard your heart, and you still have to shepherd, and you still have to lead, and you still have to say, okay, right, it's fine, let's keep it moving. But I've dealt with people who say they've been hurt in church and this. But my thing is this, is that the Bible teaches us how to deal with that. The Bible tells us if you feel offended, or if you've hurt your brother, your sister felt hurt, you discuss the issue. If they don't listen, you go with another brother or another sister, you discuss the issue. And there's like 3 layers before eventually you say, you know what, we can't, it's irreconcilable differences. You know what, we're going to call it a day. But by that point, let's forgive each other. Let's call it a day, and you do your thing, I do my thing. I'm not going to go there and speak any nonsense about you. You're not going to go and speak nonsense about me. We're going to leave it alone. But the issue that we deal with is that people leave, and then they want to make sure they live with 15, 20 other families. And when they go with those families, wherever they go, they're busy saying, this person did this person did that. And the issue with that is now you find a thing called broken telephone, where the story gets a tail, it gets an arm, it gets a leg, it gets all sorts. By the time you get to the end of the story, you heard you threatened the person with a gun, and you had it to his head, and you're like, just see, bro, that didn't happen.
That's another movie.
It's
a totally different. And it's interesting about pastors hurt, which is a very interesting thing, because for me, I always feel like a lot of people don't understand the sacrifice that pastors have to go through. It is a very, for me, out of the fivefold, it's probably one of the most challenging out of the entire fivefold, because you deal directly with the person.
Yeah, you have to shepherd the person.
And sometimes that person will leave, and then when they come back, you must cover them.
Again.
You know what I'm saying? And act like nothing happened.
And you must act like nothing
and you talking of your dad making the sacrifices in the house, it has a toll on you.
It does.
Because now you can't study because you lig us off. You know what I'm saying? And you
can't get a box of Astros because there's no money, because there's a thing happening in church.
Yeah.
And the father had to use the last 500 rand to go and buy
and
it.
you find pastors having to counsel your lighties. But then his lighties is dear mekaar. And it's difficult. So I think people just need to be patient to a certain extent, man. Talking of pastoring, you are now the lead pastor.
Yeah.
Tell me, how does that feel? I want, firstly, how did you get the news? Was it like, did they throw a party and say, Zake, surprise, you know what I'm saying? Like how that news come through?
So how this works is, right, there's seasons in the church, right? There's seasons in youth ministry, right? So Justin's running the youth ministry. The first conversation I had with him is, bro, this thing has a season. It has so many years, then there's a switch over, right? If I was you, I'd start looking for someone in like the 3rd year to start switching over, because by year 6, 7, there's going to be a switch over, right?
No, hold on. That is Bible belangrijk, ne? Because you find someone in ministry for 10 years a youth pastor. You know what I'm saying? Or for 100 years. So And what I love about what you guys
Opa
have,
already.
you know what I'm saying? Ma, he's a
His
youth
children is
pastor.
out of youth already.
And this is why you guys went viral with this thing. Because it was so amazing. Here's Pastor, here is Dr. Carl. He's still fresh. He's not krankelijk. And he's giving over to his son,
Remember,
which is
he's
amazing.
He's 62.
Yeah, but I mean, he's still fresh. He can still run marathon.
No, he can. I'm saying what people take for granted is that
Mm.
because my father still looks young and he's still healthy,
Yeah.
doesn't mean he's not older.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
Now you in your mind, you picturing an old opa with grey beard and eye shave.
Now why do you have to get to that point? You know what I'm saying?
It's like you don't have to be an old opa with grey beard with a kiri and that. You can still be fresh. My time is 62, but he still looks like he's in his mid-50s.
Yeah,
he still looks not.
because if you're the worship leader and you're leading worship now for let's say 2 years, and the pastor says, listen man, you need to get ready to transition. I then just started on, like, I'm only getting into the vibe now. But what people must understand, this is a serving community. You are serving in this environment.
For a period.
You know what
and
I'm
then
saying?
switch, yeah.
So please explain, continue. I just wanted to mention that it's important to have that plan already, or just have that thinking already, so that when the pastor approaches you and says, listen, just think about it. Don't get offended, because those are the type of stuff that makes it difficult. Because now you're going to leave a chapel. Now the pastor must now start from over. You know what I'm saying? So please just share again on the season thing of like
that
Justin
happens,
and
yeah.
that.
So pastoring has a particular season because seasons also go with generations.
Yeah.
Right? And so each generation. And so the world maps it out that way, and we understand it to be that way. You got the silent generation, then you got baby boomers, then you got generation, Gen X, ne?
Yeah.
Then you got millennials.
Yeah.
Then you got Z, then you got Alpha, then you got what's after Alpha, the new one.
Beta, isn't it?
Beta.
Yeah.
Different generations go through different things. And there's certain seasons that these people, they relate on that level because they came through that season, through that period of time together. Right? And so my father understands how to navigate time. When he realized, okay, I'm 62, there's a fresh generation coming in. My grandchildren are already coming up now. I need to decide how I'm going to play this, right? I will say this just for free, is that a lot of pastors don't have a plan B in mind for themselves, right? And so they don't know what to do next. They have no vision for their own personal lives. They built their whole reputation on the church, and they put all their blood, sweat, and tears in this church, and they've been running it for the past 30, 40, 50 years. It's all they know. It's all they understand. They've built this thing from the ground up, and so they cannot fathom in their wildest dreams that somebody else is going to take this thing and run with it for another 20, 30, 40 years. So in their minds, it's like, this is my thing.
Yeah,
I
it's my
started
baby.
this thing. I raised this thing.
Yeah.
I groomed this thing to where it is today. And I have no plan for my life after this. So I'm going to die with this baton in my hand. What my father did was, he had a plan for his life after ministry, which I would suggest a lot of pastors do.
Absolutely.
Think about, how long am I going to be in this thing? What age do I want to start working my way out here? And what am I going to do after this? Because you kill the church trying to hold something, and you 80 already. You coming on there with a kiri, and the church is empty. Everyone left. There's a last few opas and omas that's still sitting there because shame, they started with pastor and they believe in pastor and they still here. Meanwhile, all the youngsters are all gone to Crystal and to where and to where. Because in their minds it's like, nah man, this thing is busy dying out here. Because the pastor doesn't have a plan B. He doesn't know what else to do with his life. But again, I don't blame him because he senses and he feels like, bruh, this is my thing. This is all I know. This is what I've groomed up until this point. People
100%.
know me. If people say, Pastor so-and-so, they connected to the church.
Yes.
People say that church, they connected to this pastor. So it's my life. So I understand why they think the way they do.
100%.
Doesn't make it right, but I know why they feel the way they do. So then my father and then what begins to happen is, if a woman is pregnant for 9 months, there comes a time where she gets contractions, right? I got 2 babies. I've been there for both of them, and I went in and everything, so I know the story. But there comes a time where there's contraction. There comes a time where the baby starts hanging low. And then the contractions start, boom, it tightens. Then it looses. Then your wife says, hey, I think we must start getting ready. Do you have that that bag to go to the hospital.
And that bag is ready 6 months earlier.
That bag is being ready. That bag have nappies in, baby oil, excuse the baby oil story. There's everything in there. And that bag is ready to rumble, right?
Yeah.
And then the wife says, it's contracting, it's leaving. Contracting, it's leaving. Then you know, it's getting close. Then the contraction starts going shorter and shorter and shorter up until, hey, it's time.
It's time now.
We need to be at the hospital already, right? And so what happens in ministry, you start seeing the contractions. You see, tighten, loose. Then you see, this one is becoming edgy in this position, loose.
Yeah.
That one's becoming stagnant in that position, loose. That one's getting, and then the contractions become tighter and tighter and tighter, and the friction becomes heavier and heavier, and then you start realizing that if we don't make a shift here now, we're gonna be in for a ride of our lives. These people are gonna leave. We're gonna preach the church empty. People are gonna feel some type of way here. We need to start looking at how we're gonna bring in the next generation. So I explained generations. I explained
seasons.
With the seasons where you can start sensing, all right, something is starting to shift. And then there's a season where I myself knew, all right, it's time. It's like you know when Rafiki hits somebody on the head and says, "Hey, bruh, you have to go and you gotta go and take your rightful place as king. Your father's done his tenure. He's done well. He's achieved all of these things. He knows what he's doing. But now, you ready for the next season. And you can, and I felt it in my heart. I knew.
Okay. I was gonna ask you.
Then I felt it. I knew. Okay, right now it's time. It's about time for me to start coming up. And then I started coming up. Then the conversation between my father and myself, the contractions became tighter. The conversation went from once a year to once a month to every week to the point where we were talking about it all the time. What are we going to do? How are we going to do this thing? How are we going to transition? Okay, wait. Let's do it over this time. Let's do it in that time. Let's start getting you involved more in this. Let's bring you in there. And luckily for me, I was already at church all the time. I was already running things. I was already... So it wasn't like, who's this guy? Where does he come from? People already knew. I was already preaching a lot. Preaching once or twice a month. So it wasn't like a surprise to people when they saw it.
Like, oh, guys, thank you so much. I didn't know. But now tell me in terms of the weight. Because for me, looking from the outside, it is a huge responsibility, right? Because of the level, the level you guys have raised there at Crystal Church, it is very high. The standard is high. When you got into that role, were there ever certain moments where you thought, you know what, I never expected this to happen, or I didn't see this? Just share with us a little bit. Were there moments like that, and also just the weight of carrying the ministry?
So I knew. In that first couple of months, I told my father, one of the blessings that I have my father alive.
Yeah.
One of the blessings I have my father still active. And this is the beauty in not waiting until you're laying there. What the thing. Yeah. I have my father alive. I have my father active.
Sane.
I have him sane in his right mind. I have him still preaching twice a month, once a month. I have him still visible. The people see, okay, now Dr. Carl is still here. Oh, Dr. Carl's dropping a new book. Oh, Dr. Carl's still... Because if Dr. Carl had to die all of a sudden, and here's Hexma just come take over the church, you know how much damage that would have caused? Yeah. That would have caused massive damage. Yeah. And so the way we did it was the right way.
It was smart.
It was the right way.
You know what? And the way you're describing it now, it makes me feel like, because as church people, just generally, we want to spiritualize everything. God must tell us. So the way you guys did it seems to me like there is a level of smarts happening. Like, guys, we must now see, man. We don't need this thing. We can see what's going on.
And God is telling us.
You know what I'm saying?
We can sense it in our spirit.
So now, I think it's important, and you can share this also from your end, and just in terms of how you guys run Crystal. There is a measure of spiritual, like impartation, and there's a measure of just using logic. And because as church people, we are afraid to use the word logic, because as if logic is like from
faith is void of
the
logic.
Devil.
No,
you know what I'm
faith
saying?
is not void of logic.
So
faith
I
and
like
works go together.
So I think part of your success is being able to see things for what it is.
Yes. Faith and works go together. You see it, you have faith, you're sensing the Holy Spirit is telling you to move, then you must move. And so we started seeing it. Okay, that the shift is happening. You need to start coming closer. I came closer. I guess the question you asked earlier is was there a weight? There is definitely a weight. And how I dealt with that weight is in a strong spiritual way. I fast every week. I pray every week.
Yeah.
Well, every day I pray, but especially on my fasting days. And I make sure that from the morning all the way, I just stay in prayer the whole time. Because in myself, it's going to be too much to carry. It's too big. It's too much. There's too much going on. There's too much happening. So I won't be able to deal with it on my own. I have to fast and pray and hear what God says. And then another thing that happens is you have amazing people in your space also.
Yeah.
And God sends the right people. On this rock I build my church. The gates of hell shall not prevail. He builds people to make sure the thing works. He brings people to make sure the thing works. And so the nice thing is that I don't carry the burden by myself. As I said just now, my father's still alive. I can run to him and say, hey, what do you think? Should I do this? Should I do that? Hey, I'm thinking about going this direction. Do you think it's wise? Nah, don't go. Back down. Don't say this. Go there. But I can be edgy, but I can still have my guidance to say,
yes.
hey, bro, you're getting too edgy now. Just tone it down on that.
Yeah.
But he can also release the slack a bit and make me be edgy. Then I can say things and do things.
Yeah.
And then
because that is part of growth.
Yeah.
It's part of developing. And then on that, you are a young leader, and there's an old generation, previous generation still there, right? How do you navigate those? Trying to communicate, because there's a certain language you use to your people. I'm saying your generation.
Yes, yeah.
But then, and there's also a certain, like, if you have a certain behavior about yourself, your generation will get it, but the previous won't.
Or the jokes you throw in between.
You know what I'm saying?
Or these memes
because when I watch your sermons, I'm like, this guy, he speaks on a different level. Like, we're not used to hearing that from a pastor.
Because it's...
But we get it. So how do you navigate? Because you want to maintain the legacy that your dad built. Those people are important. There, But you also just want to impart into your people, man. Because, it's one thing to, you have a different approach to your people and others. It's very different.
It is different.
You know what I'm saying? How do you navigate that?
But you know what's interesting? If I be honest with you, some of the older generation grasp the concept quicker than some of the ones that are on my age group.
Yeah.
Like the older aunties were calling me pastor first.
Yeah.
Because remember, it was now awkward to start calling me pastor. But the older aunties and the older uncles, they started calling me pastor from the ordination last year, March. They already was like, hey, Pastor Zakes.
Yeah.
They started already getting used to this idea of pastor. The younger ones that I kind of came up
familiar
with youth
you.
And stuff, they were still like, hey, Zakes. And then they had to kind of tell themselves,
yes,
I need to now start calling the guy pastor. I need to start showing a different respect.
Okay. But now on that also, like in terms of titles, does it bother you? Because sometimes you say to yourself, okay, die sien my nie eintlik ek is eintlik sy pastoor.
So here's, come I tell you something interesting about titles, right? In the colored community, they respect titles.
Yeah.
And
it's a huge honor.
It's a big thing for especially in the brown community.
Yeah.
And what begins to happen is they sense that if you don't have a title, then you're not important. they treat you different if you don't have a title.
Devil.
I have a degree. I've been in ministry for 15 years. When I speak, I know what I'm saying. I know from experience, this is how it really is. This is how it works. This is I have my degree in theology, so I understand what I'm preaching also. I understand the structure of the sermon. I've structured it on the iPad, there on the computer. I know what I'm saying. But they don't respect it for the value that you bring. They respect the title. So sometimes if you find, and I'm going to make this analogy, you find a white pastor that just calls himself, John. Hey, John, good. But everyone respects John. Or let's make a real example, Stephen Furtick. We just say Stephen Furtick. Hey, Stephen dropped a news. Hey, Stephen does, Stephen that. I know his church people call him Pastor Stephen, right? But we understand that as much as we just saying Stephen, the people respect the yes, that man has a big church, your elevation. Did you hear the new album? You're this, you're that. But you respect it. But in the brown community, if you don't have some sort of, and this is why the Owens chase the bishop and the apostle and the evangelist so and so and Bishop so and so, because Then now there's a different respect. Hey, here's a bishop so-and-so coming.
Yeah.
Hey, here's the evangelist this and that coming. You know. But now just Zake's coming. But what we've done is, what I've done personally, I was like, let my work speak on my behalf. You can call me Zakes.
Come on, man.
But when I walk, people know.
Yeah.
That man, he knows his story.
The fruit.
That man
you know,
ran the biggest youth in South Africa.
100%.
That man did this. That man did. You can call me Zakes, but you know that he's not dumb.
Yeah. You know, because with every title, and I'm going to use the titles in terms of the fivefold office, there is a certain grace on everyone, right, to function. So whether you receive me as a pastor or not, the question is, I can't give you what I have if you don't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Because the scripture says, if you receive the righteous man as a righteous man, then you receive the reward. So the pastor has a reward. So it is not so much even calling the title, but you find people who don't call you on your title, but they still reverence the man it is.
There's a respect.
You know what I'm
then
saying?
you find people that call you pastor.
And
but then they
no.
rude or they talk nonsense behind your
It's
back.
just a
You're
formality.
You just calling me this because you're supposed to call it. But the point you're making is the real point.
Yeah.
Is the real substance behind.
Is there fruit?
Is the fruit, and are you calling me from a place of reverence, or are you just calling because now we have to call you pastor, so I'm not just calling you pastor because I have to.
100%.
But there's no respect.
What is the one thing that you can remember that you'll never forget, like your dad saying Zakes ABCD?
So one thing that he taught me early, he said to me, when I was still a youth pastor, then I started preaching. And my father was strategic. He brought me in once a month, twice a month.
Yeah.
So the people got used to me.
Yeah.
And he could also guide me.
Yeah.
Calls me in. Zakes, don't make those examples because the people don't understand. Okay, Zakes, don't say y'all and you guys and what. There's big people here. There's people old enough to be your grandfather, you guysing. So don't say that anymore. Don't, be respectful. Then he'll call me in and say, you see, Mr. So-and-so and Mr. So-and-so, they are in the church for the past X amount of years. They've grown this church with me. They've done this and this and this. Make sure that you show them respect. You see, Uncle So-and-so and Auntie So-and-so, they started this thing with me back in the day. Make sure you respect them. Make sure this and this and this. So he started teaching me now ahead of time.
Yeah.
Don't disrespect.
And also just like practical things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't disrespect. Don't you and y'all and make inappropriate jokes and this and this. There's older people there. There's mature people there that And so he groomed me in that way. And then one of the things he taught me that I remember up until today, the point that you made earlier about sometimes someone comes back and you just have to keep it moving. He says a pastor, the Bible likens it to a shepherd. And a shepherd, if you look at David, he looks after a flock. And so a teacher goes and teaches a particular text. Evangelist goes out, brings the harvest, but then they need to plug into a church.
Yeah.
An apostle oversees a number of churches and he makes sure everyone's fine. But a pastor, you must be there with the person.
Yeah.
You must do the funeral. You must do the wedding.
You must deal with everything.
You must do the counseling. You basically have to walk that person through their lives. And then he said to me, if you think about from a sheep and a shepherd perspective, people are like the sheep. Jesus likens it to the sheep. Sometimes the sheep goes there, plays in the mud. Yeah. You have to take the sheep, wash the sheep off. Sometimes the sheep goes there, is about to fall off the cliff. That's why it has the hook on the end of the staff. You have to bring the person back and say, hey, you're going to fall there. Don't go there. Watch out for this. There's a hole there.
Yeah.
And so he started teaching me to do that. He said, you have to be patient with people. Because me, I can sometimes say, hey, bro, if you don't want to be here, it's better you go. And then he says, you
100%.
can't do that. You must talk nicely. You must yell.
Don't we all just feel like doing that? And just to add on to what you're saying, like the shepherd is one of the most interesting topics for me ever, right? And one day I'll maybe teach it. But one of the things that stands out for me, speaking of David, and just to share quickly, Samuel goes to David's timer's house. He wants to anoint the guy, right? Or anoint the king. David isn't there. He's doing his span. He's a shepherd. But then the Bible says David enters and he looks ruddy. He looks dirty. And that is, for me, the image of a pastor. He's hurt, he's dirty, he has to deal with, and that dirt doesn't come from himself.
He smells like cow.
You know what I'm saying? He looks undignified. Everybody in the house here is muscular, clean shaven, what? The man come in the lake, and this is the guy. And it just goes to show the life of a pastor, and we spoke about it earlier on. And yet the pastor is the most judged person, like the magnifying glasses on his life all the time, and yet he's the one that must just smile all the time. So it is interesting to me how your dad gives you to say, listen, because you're entering into this grace and this position, I'll call it, there has to be a change here. So even though you feel like it, me brah, leave, man. Because we all feel like it. There's this thing, and I think people should have little compassion for pastors, because it is probably one of the most difficult things to do. So you are very involved in men's ministry. Why in particular men's ministry? And also maybe just chat to the given our society as far as men is concerned, the media, mainstream media, how we are seen, and what is your idea really around maybe bringing some transformation to that?
So men is being targeted in the mainstream media like crazy. The reason why is because it's the devil pushing an agenda. So when the devil pushes an agenda, if you break the father, you break the house. So if you remove the father from the house, the children now start, thinking, hey, what do we do now? Then the mother can't raise raise two bad kids on your own.
And she come in mother and father.
That's a Tupac line.
Yeah.
And now she needs to be the mother.
And we all saw how that turned out.
yeah, you see, he didn't even reach 30. So now you have to raise both children. Now you you have to be both genders. You have to be it's hard. And God made it in a particular way so that there's father, then there's the mother, then there's the children. There's an order and there's a structure.
Yeah.
And that's the reason God made it that way, because he knew that the father's the one that brings the discipline, the mother's the one that brings the emotion and the softer side and the nurturing side and the, hey, let me hug the child fell. Father says, hey man, get up man, why are you crying? The mother says, hey, don't shout the child got hurt, but the child needs both.
Yeah.
The child needs to know, hey, I need to get up and keep moving, but also, hey, I got hurt. So you need both. And so the devil is really targeting fathers. And I'll never forget, there was something my father told me. He said, this thing where women gets paid more than men is very strategic from the enemy. Right? Yeah. And I didn't understand it. I was like, but equal rights and this and that. He said it's very strategic and it's going to cause a lot of divorces. Yeah. And that was when it just started. I'm talking about like 10, 15 years ago. And I didn't understand it. When we started dealing with the divorces, and when we started dealing with why these people got divorced, then we were like, wow, okay, I see now. Because why? The father was always supposed to be the head of the house. The mother gets paid more. Yeah, you don't bring in money. Who do you think you are? Now the man feels like, hey, you're now talking to me like I'm one of the children. Now remember the love she so desperately wants, and the respect he so desperately needs. So now because you're earning more than me, now you're disrespecting me. Now because I'm feeling disrespected, I'm feeling like, nah man, you can't talk to me like that. Yeah. And this is where gender-based violence comes in. Who you think you're talking to? Bah! Because men deal with things on a physical level. Yeah. We physical beings. Yeah. We two ones get into a fight, we roll. Two women get into a fight, they calling each other you be and you what and you what.
And pull on hair, but men shouldn't pull on hair.
Yeah. You see?
You must punch.
Yeah, but women will call each other and then go tell their friends, yeah, you know what she said about me? Yeah. Owens don't have time for long story. They start rolling each other, they shoot each other, they stab each other. Because men deal with things from a physical point and women deal with things from an emotional perspective. So now if you start speaking to me in a disrespectful way, and I always tell people this, your disrespectful words is equal to his slap. It's the same thing. Yeah. Because what he's feeling and hearing is better you clapped him in the face. Yeah. It's better you punched him in the eyes. Because then I could have dealt with it at least on that level. But you hitting me below the belt. Yeah. You useless. You don't have a job. Look, I must come pay for the children's this. Embarrass me in front of a ladies. Yeah, your father's dumb and what. Now you sitting there like a lighty. Woman now.
And look, because in front of and I think what people must understand, like both men and women, there are certain things you don't say to a woman. There are certain things you don't say to a guy. Right? And even if you want to say something, say it in a particular way. But I like what you said about God as order. And I think that's what's missing. Especially, people don't understand that there's an order with God. Even in church, there's an order. You can be a lot more gifted than the pastor, but there's an order. Because God is more concerned with order than anything else. And that's biblical.
And your gift can still be utilized.
Absolutely.
Can still be utilized.
And I think one of the things is that whenever people talk about, like just now you spoke about, you are bringing the world into the church and that type of stuff. For me, when I think of the world, I think about that. I think about a system that doesn't believe in order. Not music. For me, being worldly is not smoking guys. For me, being worldly is you want to put yourself on the same level as this person within this context. Because when in the marriage context, there can't be a same level thing. That is scriptural. So we need to have these type of conversations even in the church. Because we have we have colleagues that love a worldly culture system. But now you come into the chapel and you bring that there because there's no conversation here about the order. So men's ministry, for me, it's extremely important. So I want you to share in terms of how do you think we can really bring that, and maybe not balance, but have that distinction. Like this is how God wants it. You know what I'm saying?
We need to make men know that they can still be a man. Because society has pushed us to, the second you want to be a man, you called misogynist. The second you want to stand up to be a man, you are called toxic. Toxic masculinity. You can't say that about women. Blah, blah, blah. Hey, but I'm just trying to be a guy. I'm not meaning any disrespect. I'm not meaning any harm. I'm not saying that you can't. But I'm just saying, don't disrespect me. Even if you earn more than me, I'm still the father in the house. Even if you earn more than me, I'm still your husband. Even if you earn more than me, still respect me on that level to say that this is my husband. Respect me when we go to a place and say, hey, this is my husband. We go to your work function where you a big deal. But when I walk in with you still, hey, this is my husband. You introduce me to your colleagues. But when it comes to that, we need to tell the men, gents, we are still men. But we must tell the men, gents, get up and get your ducks in a row. Gents, get up and keep it moving. Gents, if you need to go to the gym, go to the gym. I'm starting to sound like Andrew Tate now. But that's why the people gravitate towards him. Because there was someone that finally came and said, yeah, bro, here's this man saying the things that we're feeling the whole time. But we're too scared to say it because we're going to be called misogynist and toxic masculinity and this. Now we must keep quiet and we're scared to say it. And then the ones who say it gets hammered back in like, hey, you can't say that. I can't keep quiet. So a lot of the gents are now scared to speak for themselves. And a lot of the gents, because of that thing where the woman gets first preference at work, he's earning 20,000, she's earning 60,000. Now, he come home, he's a lighty by the house now because he earns less. He comes home, baby, don't you have just a 500 rand there for me, please? His man is finished. You see, and now it demasculates the So I'm working on a project to see that how can we get as gents financially free. And I started the project. Some of the guys know about it, but I probably launch it only in next year. But how can we get the gents financially free? How can we get the gents into a place where we sit together and we say, okay, gents, we're not just going to talk about my marriage and my this. Gents, you have a business, you have a business. How can we assist each other here? Because we can't must not on a circle. So
you know what I realized, and we can end it off here. So what I realized that the gents of today, of this generation, they are okay with being demasculated. But the older generation are not okay, right? So now you are in an interesting position because you got both people to serve and to
why?
lead.
Because they come from a generation where they were raised with a mother alone. So the devil already got... The devil reasons generationally, bro. He doesn't think of now. He thinks, if I can start you here, I'm going to get you there, I'm going to get you there, I'm going to get you there. If I can get a father out of the house. I heard an interesting statistic the other day. I actually saved it on my Instagram. The guy was saying he met someone in prison. Right? I don't know if you saw this thing. He met someone in prison and he went down the lineage and found the guy's grandfather. And they showed that this guy, out of that lineage, just from the grandfather, he had children from 20 different women. Like 80% of them all were in prison. 80% of them all had children again from completely different women. And then the rest of them all this. And then he tallied it up to a round number of over 10,000 people that were affected from that family. And how the family tree unfolded. And how 80% of them were prison, this. Then he shows one where the guy was a pastor, married to one wife, raised his family. It shows 80% of that family tree all became pastors. 80% of it, in that percentage, others became doctors, others became evangelists, others became what was these guys that go to different countries, missionaries. Yeah. Others became missionaries. Others started business, and then the moral of the story was the devil understands generations. He knows if I can beat you here, it comes down. And so a lot of the guys now were raised only with mommy. There was no daddy to say, hey, get up. Hey, daddy, I'm so, hey, get up, let's go. Hey, daddy, I'm tired. Saturday morning, want to lay late. Hey, where you laying? Take a blanket off. Go cut the grass there outside. Come, go clean the pool there. Go and pick up the dog crap there. Go do this, go do that. He wasn't raised like that.
I think also, even if the couple doesn't work out, right? But still be a father to your lighty.
Still be present.
You know what I'm saying? Because, and also have the conversation with your partner to say, listen, moenie die lighty veel winde in jag van my.
Yeah. Don't tell the lighty, yeah, your father does.
You see what I'm saying? Because I think that's the problem. And to allude to what you're saying, because raised by a mom only, it's not just being raised by, it's by her telling, your dad is this, your dad is this, and you're not so used to your pa. You know, those type of stuff. But I think it's so important then for men's ministry. Because you get, like it's easier for a church to start a men's ministry than for a secular organization to start one. So that's why it puts such a huge responsibility on us, because these people are coming to the church, right? They are coming here, and they're not just coming for the word, but you're also coming for transformation in every area, because the gospel must change everything about you.
Including your finances. And just because you're successful doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. And it doesn't mean you're taking bribes. It doesn't mean you're doing something from the devil. Because there's new philosophy that if you reach, you can't be a Christian. Why Christians are not allowed to be successful.
Yeah.
Pastors are not allowed to be successful.
You know, Jesus had women finance his ministry. And these women were people who lived in the palace. They were affluent women. You know what I'm saying? So it's also a mindset amongst our brown people especially. Because why is it okay for a non-white pastor, or a white pastor, to be wealthy?
Successful. And then you brag. Hey, I go to this church. I don't want to mention churches. Hey, I go to this church, but my pastor drives this. Then when he come to your church, ooh, look how he's stealing the money, he's driving this.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
it's
so
just
now
a
I'm
mentality.
not allowed to. But here's the thing. If you look at the mindset needs to shift. I tell people this all the time. Jesus sits on a throne. He's a king. He walks on gold, which means he's wealthy beyond measure. The Bible says he owns a cattle on 1,000 hills. Do you know cattle that time was their wealth, was their form of wealth, to show how many sheep, how many
value
cows,
in there,
how many sheep, how many cows, how many goats. That showed, like when you read what happens in the Old Testament with Moses and the giants. If the oak comes there with goats and cows and sheep, hey, this is a wealthy man, because that was equivalent to Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk in today's time.
Absolutely, yeah.
You see,
brilliant.
So, yeah.
So listen. So what's next for Pastor Zakes in any fashion, life, ministry? Like what can we look forward to?
So next, now my focus is now obviously on ministry. This is now my first official year in ministry. I don't count last year because it was kind of the inauguration, and then I was still kind of trying to find my feet. So this year, January, I officially now, okay, right, we're here now. Nice. Let's make some moves. So this is my first year now, 6 months in it. And so for the next 5 years, I'm really looking to see how we can grow Crystal. There's some visions in place already. There's a 2030 vision that's already in progress now to actually start showing the congregation, hi guys, this is where we want to see ourselves by 2030. So that's in progress with the men also, to grow teams where they grow in all areas of their lives, in their financial lives, in their spiritual lives, in their families, in their personal growth, and in literally all. There's always 5 areas that we always focus on in church, and we want to make sure that you as an individual growing in all those areas.
Absolutely.
For men, my wife does the women's ministry. She does that. But also a little bit of business on the side that I'm also now working on with a couple of guys. I can't speak too much about that.
Yeah,
it's still kind of on the come up. And so, but again, I want to be financially independent and be in that space where I'm running church here, but I'm also, wearing a different hat in a different space.
Listen, any advice for a church leader, a pastor, a volunteer, just general in terms of ministry?
So serving really has benefits. Serving has benefits. I mean, the person that brought me here today has a very strong testimony about what serving. How doors God opens doors through serving, right? Serving has big benefits, and I would strongly suggest to any person in ministry that serve God with a pure heart, serve Him with an open heart. And there's a saying that goes, take care of His business, He takes care of yours. God really sees your heart. He knows. That's one I can trust. That's one I can take to the next level. That's one, if I bless them, they'll bring it back home. And it's a biblical principle, that when you bring your tithe to the storehouse, when you serve in the storehouse, when you do things in church, God opens up opportunity. God gives you favor. You go places, you go to work in the boardroom, you saw my favor, you go there, you have favor. It's like, how does this work? It's not how does it work. It's because you're putting God first. You're putting His things first. And then He also makes sure that you're also doing well. So I would just strongly advise or suggest or put it out there that serve God, but serve Him in spirit and in truth. Don't serve Him from a place of what can I get out of it, or if I'm not on the video now, I'm taking offense. If I'm not in the pictures the church posted on social media, why I can't see myself? Why did they cut me out there? Because now you're serving with the wrong intention, the wrong motive. I didn't sing this week on stage. They didn't ask me to do the offering. It's like, so now you're doing this thing with the wrong intention. Serve with a clean heart. And the people who serving with a clean heart, it just so happens that they always get opportunity, or they always,
Listen, man, for me, I always tell people, just show up. Exactly. Just show up and do things with the right intention. And the thing now, even if people get offended, you as the pastor must just smile. But in your heart, you're like, just leave, man. Just go. You know what I'm saying?
And the thing is, the ones who get offended are the ones that sometimes they come late, they're not there, they don't come to the meetings, they don't come to the practice, they don't come nothing. But then they're the ones that get offended. But the one that's there all the time, he doesn't worry, bro. He's just happy to be there. Or she's just happy to serve.
Listen, man, Pastor Zay, thank you so much, my brother, man. I really appreciate it. Like I feel like I can talk for another 3 hours, but I know that you got work to do. You're a busy man. You must run a ministry. So listen, man, where can people get hold of you? The church, you personally, also, you're quite active on social media. You can also mention you guys' podcasts and everything.
So we do Inside Show. So my co-host is Jay. And then Wednesdays we deal with more political stuff. Political, brown issues, things that we deal with in communities. And then, but Xavier Hendricks, my name, my surname, on all social. It used to be your boy Zakes. I changed it all back to my
because you must not lead pastor. You can't just say y'all and what. So I changed it all back to just Xavier Hendricks. I only use Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm not big on Facebook. But the church is on Facebook, YouTube. And you guys stream every Sunday?
Not Twitter, sorry, Instagram and TikTok.
But
Instagram,
you guys stream Sundays, Wednesdays?
Sundays. So we stream mostly Sunday 9 o'clock. And then I go live every night at 8 from Monday to Thursday. I'm probably going to be late for today's one, I might not go on. But Monday to Thursday I go live at night at 8. And we basically dissect the sermon and give it to people every day.
It's kind of like a home cell almost.
It's like a home cell, but every night. And so instead of us doing something, it's just like jump on your phone, jump online for the next 15-20 minutes. We pray together, we break down the scripture. Because I started noticing that we can't just have Sunday and then now nothing during the week. So I thought, let me do something
and keep the momentum during
100%.
The week.
So every night at 8 I go live. And then,
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming through, guys. Once again, Pastor Zakes, dynamic guy. I love chatting to him. Please go check him out on social media. Go to the church if you're in the area. The church is in Ayrton. And even if you live far from Ayrton, go to chapel on. Go to the guys. You won't be sorry. There's lights. There's smoke. There's a vibe. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in.